Navigating through the energies of New Earth is not an easy process and can become extremely overwhelming at times. As we all ascend into higher frequencies, we're all being guided to embrace our own unique divine pathway, a pathway created in the vibration of love. Join Vibe Nation radio host, international psychic medium Carrie Turcotte, as she guides her listeners to rediscover themselves by accessing the keys of knowledge that already exist within. Each week's show is divinely orchestrated to intertwine with the universal energies, allowing the listeners to go deeper within and understand the message being shared even greater. When you live in the frequency of love, there is no competition, so Carrie will be joined regularly by fellow soul family members who will bring forth wisdom and knowledge she knows should be shared on a global level. At the end of each show, Carrie will tap into the energies of the listeners to see what message Spirit wants to share with all those listening in for the upcoming week. If you really want to get to know who you truly are, come and join us now on Vibe Nation Radio, here on the IOM Radio Network.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to another edition of Vibe Nation Radio, where today I have my dear soul sister Amy Fitzgerald on with me again. Hello, Amy.
Hello, Carrie. Glad to be here.
Thank you for joining me again on the show.
Always a pleasure. We can have some fun.
And today we're talking about a real fun topic. We're talking about the boys and how to conquer them. And those that are new to our lingo, the boys are the ego. So let me just kind of introduce you to how we determine who the boys are. We have Mr. Ego and his tribe, who's Mr. Procrastination, Mr. Assumption, Mr. Anxiety, Mr. Hopeless, Mr. Fear Monster, the list goes on. Then we have the 5W clan, which is the who, what, where, why, when, and how. And then we have the word posse, Mr. But, Mr. Someday, Mr. Maybe, Mr. Could've, Mr. Should've. So we'd like to have fun with this because when you're sending out lower vibrations, it comes in many different ways, words, thoughts, and feelings. So, you might have your words in the frequency of love, but your thoughts and your feelings are not. And when you're trying to conquer the boys, it's about allowing yourself to, we are a soul having a human experience to be able to go down into the lower vibrations and to be able to conquer the boys because we are human and we have emotions. So we are going to go up and down. It's just not getting stuck there, that you embrace them and you pop out of it. Correct, Amy?
Absolutely. The best thing I think I can say is to befriend them in a way, the way you call them the boys. They don't quite sound so intimidating. They sound something that you can definitely manage. I call it a discipline of sorts. You have a giant fear monster, and he, breaks apart into all of those elements that you listed separately, and they all kind of come at you all together sometimes at different times. And it's about becoming the warrior and practicing discipline and noticing when they pop up and noticing the space between why is that here. Yes. Trying to be curious about the fear is more beneficial to actually, I guess, getting above it.
Yes, healing.
Than letting it get to you.
Yes, absolutely. And I know that right now with the energies that are taking place on Gaia, I've been channeling this for a couple of months in the Vibe Report, that right now a lot of people's darkest fears are coming out of them. And the boys are getting the best of them, but it's really the universe trying to say, what are you refusing to see? So the universe is giving you love slaps, and usually when the fears come out, it's triggered. It's something you see, something you hear, something you watch. And again, if this is different for a collective than it is twins. The twins really need to ask themselves, is this my fear? Is this my beloved's fear? Or is this a fear I'm feeding off of someone else? Or is this a fear I'm feeding off of Gaia? So it becomes, again, it's not an easy process to be able to conquer the boys. But when you're new to this, that's
where that discipline, I think, helps too.
Yeah. You and I both know that, we've been conquering the boys for quite some time now, that you kind of get to a point and you can kind of just jump on the horse and ride it.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's the tools you learn, and when you create that space to observe them, the fear, whatever it is, you can recognize that they're really God, the universe, source is really just trying to show you what's in your energy field, what you're afraid of. So you can look at them and go, oh, thanks for showing me that you're there. Now, how do I, face the fear? What is it really coming from?
Yeah.
And then you become, yes, I love that movie we talk about all the time, The Matrix, with Neo, where the bullets are coming at him, and at some point he just picks a bullet out, stops it in midair, and then drops it on the ground. And that's eventually how we can get to with fear. It's just, oh, thank you. I see you. I don't need you anymore, and just discard it.
Absolutely. I love your little scenarios, the way we talk about certain things. And, with the fear that's taking place right now in Gaia, it's more or less trying to observe what's going on around out there and not absorb it. Because if you're an empath or you are extremely psychic, you are going to pick up on these lower vibrations of other people. And if somebody does trigger you, again, just stop and ask yourself, is the universe showing me something that I need to see within myself because they're a mirror of something you do not like in yourself? Or is it the fact that you're there because you've illuminated in the love, and when they go off, you're going to be able to help them raise their vibrations by just simply vibrating love to them? And you're just observing what they're saying, realizing that they freak out. It's kind of probably has something to do with them. It's really not you.
Well,
right?
Absolutely. And if you absorb it, then you also have the power to transmute it and get rid of it. So we becoming warriors of light, masters of fear, of managing the fear, recognize that we also have the power to send it packing.
Yes.
And that's
what if you're a twin. Sorry, there's a delay on
our magic.
It's kind of like I feel like I'm going from dimension to dimension with you there today, Amy.
I told you it was going to be fun.
Yes. So, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You kind of came in and then I got thrown off there. So go right ahead, my dear.
Oh, I'm not sure where we were, but really it's about self-mastery, I guess, and a discipline. Yes. And it's gaining your tools first. And then once you gain your tools, and then, if you get a sneak attack, you're prepared because, you have skill and you have discipline and you have practice. Yes. And then you become the master of, recognizing, is this mine? Is this my beloved's? Is this something that I'm supposed to do something with? Is it a test, a tool, or a trigger? But it is always serving a purpose. It helps to look at it like that, I think. Absolutely.
And you need to know, like those that are listening, that ego's not going anywhere. It's part of us. So, but you can use ego in a very good way, but you just need to be able to release the fears that are connected to the ego to be able to work with the light. And again, you will have those times where you drop into lower vibrations because we are having a human experience, but it's pulling yourself out. And when you pull yourself out, you're like, okay, I can get through this because, if you're a twin, we're here to help release the lower vibrations in 3D. So as you're going through this and you're starting to recognize that, maybe this isn't my fear, this is my fear of my beloved or fear of someone I know, that by transmuting it and helping to clear it, you have to know that you're also helping all of Gaia. Because that's truly what the twin mission is. It's about helping Gaia shift into higher frequencies and the frequencies of love.
Absolutely. And I really think that I'm glad you brought up the whole healing of Gaia part of this, because I walk around every day thinking, if this is my paradise, if I get triggered by some fear, I immediately go, this is not my paradise. This is not how I want to live with this emotion. If this emotion is something that is triggered in me, then I know that it's something I need to release and let go of. So it's a constant, like you call us the Hoovers, I believe, as we walk around and feel a trigger and then send it off. Like we absorb it or release it or notice it, even just in the noticing. But it's
we're purifying the light within those souls that, like you said, we call ourselves the Hoover vacuums, and we're sucking up the lower vibrations and transmuting it into light.
But the fear is, it's just a piece of it. It's not meant to control. It's just meant to get our attention so that we can know where it is.
Yes. And working with Gaia is huge right now. We've been talking about this for a very long time in the Vibe Report that, work with Gaia. Go outside. We've all been asked to go find a tree. I've got my tree. You got your tree, Amy?
I do. His name is Samson.
Cool. Mine's Henry. So
very nice. We should introduce our trees.
Yes, we'll go through the tree network, which is something else that we've been talking about, the beauty of what is here on Gaia for all of us. That once you really start to see the magic and the beauty of energy and how it works, you can go out there and work with Gaia, and the information that she can allow your higher self to see, it's pretty amazing. It's a beautiful experience. It really is.
I wanted to mention this. I have this thing I like to call being a spin doctor. But when you start worrying about Gaia, if you're, concerned in a way, it's like how can you spin that concern for healing or light or love? Like, don't be concerned about what other people are doing, but what proactively can you do? So it's like that one place you're leading from with fear, and the other you're leading from with love. So I have every place I step on the earth, I start seeing like a green footprint. And it's almost like every place I step with my feet bare on the ground is a healing element. So I'm trying to get outside and walk everywhere. And then just like that energetic path that I'm making is spreading too. So it's what they're showing me
Spirit is showing me right now, that magic you're about to talk about reminds me of Avatar when they're running through the field.
Oh, yes, one of my favorites.
So when we get back, we'll continue this conversation, and I want to talk a little bit about the flip that's taking place as well. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Talk to you soon.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Have you been searching for a perspective beyond the mainstream? Check it out. Join your hosts Cielito Pascual and Diana Gold Holland on Share International Radio for thought-provoking views behind the news, Sundays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio. You can also find us at shareontheairradio.org. This may be the message of hope you've been waiting for.
There is no death, only a change of worlds. Chief Seattle. Deborah Livingston is an award-winning intuitive psychic medium whose international services include mediumship, spiritual assessment, animal communication, and spiritual mentoring. She is a published author and a trained shaman. Deborah provides evidential messages from spirit and departed loved ones. Learn more at deblivemedium.com. That's DEBLIV medium.com.
How to be a great dad in 15 seconds. Bike ride, go fish, walk in the park, phone call, milkshake, play catch, picnic, fly a kite, tell jokes, laugh, talk, read a story, tell a story, bumper cars, swing set, bowling, pillow fight, cut loose, stay tight. Whew. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Vibe Nation Radio, where today my special guest Amy Fitzgerald and I are talking about conquering the boys. And while we were at commercial break, our dear loved ones that I channel with in the Vibe Report showed up. Of course they did, Amy. And they said to talk a little bit about how the boys, when we're talking about the ego, have the SNS soul sisters that always play with them as well, which, if you're not familiar with our language, again, the SNS soul sisters are signs and synchronicities. And the reason why we call the boys, because they're a masculine energy, and when you think about signs and synchronicities, they're feminine, so that's why we call them the SNS soul sisters. So they always work with one another. And I think, Amy, Bradley's saying right now to me that you have something that you could share with regards to the boys meeting the SNS soul sisters, some of the showdowns that they sometimes have.
Well, I just noticed that they are a good team because it's a good balance. They don't let you spiral too far out before the other ones, because it's almost part of the understanding of the purpose the boys serve, I suppose. It's when you see you're triggered, but your intention should be to recognize the trigger and where does it come from. And the SNS Soul Sisters seem to be able to really good about hey, it's all good, and you still have this fear over here. So they're kind of like the support team, I suppose. And the other ones are like that really hard teacher that you had, but then you have the really good, soft, gentle, nurturing teacher over here. So the balance, again, the yin, the yang, they completely 100% balance each other.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of a specific example for you right now, but it's not coming to me.
That's
Talk
okay.
Louder,
It's something we just want to share with the listeners to let you know that, when you do have those fears that creep up on you, sometimes they come out as Godzilla. And again, I know there's certain times as a twin that we'll talk a little bit about this flip energy that's taking place, that, you're, as a twin, you're a flame, they're a flame. And as you start to come together and you reunite or come into union, you're creating a third flame, which is the flame of the twin. And where we're going, again, is into the frequency of love. So this flame that you are creating with your beloved as one is actually in the vibration of love. So we have to release our fears, because fears are not the vibration of love, so we cannot get higher into the frequency with our twin. And it's more like as you start to intertwine and you get to higher frequencies, the soul memories really start to kick in. And it's almost like Spirit is saying that when the fears show up, it's happening for a reason. And a lot of times with the energies with the twins, we're flipping of energies. So you might wake up and you're feeling awesome and things are being great, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, what is this? And all of a sudden you're self-doubting or you're fearing something that you've already conquered. This is the flip of energies because, again, you and your beloved are one. And you need to be able to release these fears. And if their strengths are your weaknesses and vice versa, if their fears come to you, chances are you have conquered them, so you can actually help and release. So go, when it happens, don't totally flip out and say, what is this? I thought I dealt with this. Go, this is a flipping of the energy where I have to embrace this and really use that I already know on a vibrational level. Because, again, this is energy, my friends. You can't crawl into their psyche and make their minds change. But you can shift the energy so it doesn't feed from the lower vibrations. I know that you had a really crazy experience regarding this, Amy.
Oh, my goodness. With, yes, are you referring to, I had a situation where I ended up yelling at someone, and specifically, is that the one?
Yeah.
Carrie, yes. Well, I felt like I was so above, yelling at people, and I'm in this new spiritual, wonderful place, and I'm aware of the mastery of the boys and all of this good stuff, and then I end up 100% losing it verbally to my ex-husband, and thought all of that was cleared out, and it was not, and felt so much guilt afterwards, and realized after speaking with Carrie, of course, and her helping me align my vibes, I recognized that had complete and 100% intention, and it was feeding a wave of energy to my beloved so that he could in turn use the power of that. And instead of sitting in guilt and shame and all of these things, which was lowering what the good deed I had just done for my beloved. it was a very interesting realization that I'm like, aha, there's another place where I didn't even realize I could have the boys attacking, but it doesn't, recovery is much quicker these days.
Yes. And when the energies flip, it doesn't mean it's always negative, my friends, because you're balancing the energies within you. So I've spoken about this before, so I'll use myself as an example again, that I teach personality traits, and I've never understood why I could never get my gold up, because it was because my beloved has all the gold. So as the flip has been taking place, I remember waking up one morning and I was like, whoa, because there was a lot of frustration and, having to feel like I have to get everything lined up and I need to know everything and every detail and this and that. And I know that's not Carrie. So I got up and I embraced it and kind of wanted to go with, a little bit more living in the moment. And it's okay. We don't need to know what's going to happen exactly 3 weeks from now when we have to deal with the moment right now. And it was very easy for me to kind of guide through that. And there's other times where I get the energy and I feel like I want to go and start organizing things and labeling things and stuff like that, which is not me. But I embrace it and I have fun because I'm doing things that I wouldn't normally do. So it's like balancing the energies out between the two of us. So again, it depends on the flip and how the energy comes. But if the flip comes to you and it's not a very good energy, just know that your beloved needs help in clearing that energy so the two of you can actually get higher within that twin flame energy, the frequency of love.
Well, I had yes, absolutely. I had a creative experience as well. Like one day my beloved is a painter and I just couldn't do anything but paint. Like all of a sudden I just had to go find canvas and I had to find paint and brushes and I just sat down and, I'm not saying it was beautiful, but this desire was so deep in me and so magical that I was just like, okay, this had to be done. So for whatever reason, it was a gift to me possibly. And I will tell you, it looked like some avatar plants. So who knows?
Very cool. Well, again, it's interesting because, my choice of music is not putting on jazz or classical or something. I usually have more of like bouncy type of music. And there are times when I just need to listen to that music. And I know I embrace it. And I know that this is the energy of my beloved, that we're intertwining, because again, it's not all negative. But when the boys show up and you've conquered them, just say, hey, you know what? I know how to conquer you because I've already controlled my boys. So it's, again, you're shifting the vibration, my friends, the frequency. It has nothing that you cannot change what's going on in their head. Their psyche, they have to do themselves. But if your vibrations are of love, it will shift any type of fear vibration within them so that they can embrace their own fear and release it.
And I love I've got the vision of David and Goliath too. You don't have to be strong and you don't have to have, whatever this is an energetic giant of sorts that can just be mastered with just energy, just thought, just space, curiosity, tools, and discipline. I mean, it's anybody, anywhere can reach a place of like just recognizing that no matter what shows up, you're going to be able to handle it. It's actually freedom. Absolutely. It's liberating. And the whole ascension journey is about this. It's being able to, as you ascend, right, you're getting lighter, which means you're, raising your vibration and your frequency and everything else. And fear is a very low vibrating energy, so it has to go in order to ascend. So really it's all necessary to get you to that place. They're just trying to go, hey, we're trying to get you up there, but you still have this in here. So we're showing it to you so that you can do something about it.
Absolutely. And if you're, well on your ascension journey, you're probably being triggered by things that happened as a child. And if you've already been able to deal with the link of the repeated patterns from childhood to now, your soul might start opening up past life memories as well. This is something I'm finding is very big with a lot of the clients that I'm working with these days, that they've done enough soul work, they've been able to release the lower vibrations that are connected to them in this lifetime, they've embraced them, but it's time for them to go deeper to find out where it's feeding from so they can finally release it once and for all.
I love this. I recently have the yelling episode I had with my ex. Apparently he was an adopted father in a past life. And so it kind of like that yelling even stemmed, whatever hurt that I felt stemmed from that life into this life, but also connected with my child. So it was like a 3-for-1, or maybe even 4 at this point, since it helps my beloved as well.
Yes.
But so even if you're not aware of the past life thing, it will show itself to you.
Yes, when your soul is ready.
Sorry, Carrie.
And I tell people that when you're doing this kind of work, don't be so quick to want to jump into past lives, because this is like peeling an onion. You don't want to peel it too quickly because it will make you cry. And if you go too deep into the dark night of the soul too quickly, it will do more damage than good, my friends. So, whoever you're working with, just ensure that if you're a twin, that you're working with a twin so they understand. But again, I'm just feeling, ensure you listen to what your soul is telling you and do your research and talk to other people that have had readings by people, and just make sure you go where your soul is guiding you. It's so important right now, because you don't want someone else's perspective to change your perspective of where you're truly going. And this happens quite often, not just in readings, but in everyday life. Somebody tells you something, you're like, and all of a sudden your perspective changed from the course that you're truly on.
Yes, it takes some aligning sometimes after something like that. So definitely tap in. And I believe, Carrie, the very first time we spoke, you said, what is your soul telling you? And it was so foreign to me. I was like, what does she mean by that? Oh, my goodness. And now I'm like, aha, you're like, because if it feels right, if you're sitting there, then your soul is telling you yes, if it feels good. If it doesn't, move on.
Yes, your soul will guide the way, my friends. And we'll talk about this when we get back to the commercial break. We'll be right back.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Eros Evolution is where sexuality and spirituality meets. Join me, clinical sexologist Martha Tara Lee, on Eros Evolution on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
When Dad needed help getting around, I became his driver. Soon enough, it was up to me to be his housekeeper and financial manager, too. When he moved in, I became his cook and even his nurse. But no matter what roles I play, I know I'm still his daughter.
We understand the roles you play. So to help, we created aarp.org/caregiving, where you can connect with experts and other caregivers. Visit aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Vibe Nation Radio, where today my special guest Amy Fitzgerald and I are talking about conquering the boys. And I think it's funny because my neighbor has decided that they want to mow the lawn right now. And I can hear it very loudly. I don't know if you guys can. But, again, it just goes to show you that when little things like this come up, don't let you stress. It's kind of like laughing. I'm like, okay, we're talking about conquering the boys, and my neighbor decides to fire up their lawnmower and mow their lawn during my radio show when they know that I have a radio show right now. So you have to kind of laugh at some of the stuff. And if you can embrace this and laugh at some of this stuff, it really does help you, my friends. I know that humor is a big thing for our soul family, Amy, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
We have to have fun
and
with
I feel
it.
like the boys are sometimes like middle school boys. So they're very playful in a twisted sort of way.
Yes. And, you know, when it comes to fears, again, a lot of your fears that you actually do have in this lifetime, my friends, they do feed from past lives. And we were getting into this before the commercial break that, you know, if you don't remember any soul memories of past lives as of yet, don't worry about it. Your soul will tell you when you're ready to know. And you really need to deal with this lifetime first and what you're dealing with right now, here and the now, because this is the present. So if you have not done the condo in my head exercise that I have on my website, I highly recommend that you do this. It's at carrieturcott.com. Roll over home, and you'll see Vibrasize, and there's all kinds of exercises, but the condo in my head exercise is the most important because you'll find your golden nuggets and your gems, and you'll also find your repeated patterns. And what this allows you to do, that when you start to do your bliss list or you start to put your snapshots together with your dynamic trio, you can use those gemstones to be able to do this, because we are on a journey back to one. And how do we do this? We got to feel our way back. So when you have those gemstones, you can feel that feeling again because you felt it before, and you let go of the darkness that was attached to what you went through to find that gem. That's why we say they're gems, because sometimes you got to go and do the cha-cha with somebody a few times before you realize that, you know, it's a repeated pattern. You need to let it go.
Yes, all of those things are the tools and disciplines that I mean can get a hold of that information and just start using it to tame the beast, if you will, or, you know, engage in a spar with the fear monster. I mean, they're not out to harm you. They're really trying to train you. Yes. And I keep remembering this, something that helped me a lot in perhaps relationships. But, you know, when I look at my ex-husband or my ex-boyfriends or any relationship I had, I look at them and I have such peace on the other side of it. You know, you process everything. You don't have the fear that, oh, they chose someone else or they didn't choose me, or, you know, whatever fear may have come up from the relationship. I was able to get to that place where it holds no energy. It holds no fear anymore. So the whole getting back to one is that same sort of thing. I hope to re-enter that relationship or the next relationship in this place free of fear. And it's because I know I can get there. It's like it's the destination. So conquering all of these fears and taming all of them means that you go, you know, you've just seen what it looks like, I guess. So if you can resonate with the place where you don't have fear and recognize that, oh, I don't have fear about this, but I used to, knowing that you can get there. And then there's just the steps of discipline and, again, the tools that help you personally, the soul family that you're guided to, or the people that resonate with you are just helping you get there. Yes. And do you have that little scenario that you'd like to share with people about the warrior? I mean, I feel like it's, you know, again, if you can imagine a big giant fear monster coming at you, and then you're in the center and it breaks up into all of these different pieces of fear, and you're in the center, and you're battling one at a time, and then eventually you've gotten good at battling one at a time, and then eventually you might end up with, you know, two. Maybe you have Mr. Loneliness and Mr. Agitation together. So, you know, you work those guys out, and then you go off on your way, and then they decide to do a sneak attack, and then all of a sudden you pop up with some sort of unexpected fear that you're able to, like, master that. And then, you know, then you're walking around without anticipation anymore, because you're aware that, hey, no matter what shows up, I'm going to be able to. So you've kind of become the master, and they've been training you. They've been assisting you the whole time. So you essentially, you know, and at this point, you don't even need the sword. You're not like Neo again. You're like, yes, I don't even need any weapons anymore, tools. I've just become fearless. Yes, it just is now. Yes, it just is. Everything just is. Yes. And when you go into past lives, you can also have some really, you know, it might not be some deep, dark, negative fear that you have, but I'm just trying to explain that when you go into past lives, you can figure out all kinds of stuff, wisdom and knowledge. And if there are fears feeding, it might be something as little like, I've done some past life regressions on a lot of people, and
some of the stuff that comes up, like it allows them to understand why they have a fear of something in this lifetime. Like one person I picked up why they feared tight clothes in this lifetime. And it was because of an experience in a past life, like, I don't know, it was thousands of years ago. And someone else, you know, their beloved didn't like to dance, and it was because of something would happen in a past life. Or someone else, they didn't like having facial hair, like after a couple of days it has to be shaved, and it's because, again, from a past life. So, again, it doesn't need to be like really dark, deep fears that you have that are connected to past lives. It can be simply like the reason why you don't like to wear tight clothes in this lifetime. So,
well,
you know,
sorry, Carrie. The experience you shared with me was that I spoke out, my beloved and I spoke out, and we both, you know, ended up dying because of our speaking out on truth and unity and love. And my throat chakra this lifetime has just been closed and sealed shut. But it wasn't necessarily that lifetime in per se. It was that I had a mother who was kind of harsh and narcissistic, who I was afraid to speak up. And, you know, so it's going to show you in this life. It just may not be as extreme, but it's still going to show up. So the regressions tend to show you like the core of it, I suppose. Yes. But you're still going to get an opportunity, even big or small.
Yeah. And I know in some past lives, in some past lives too, you might have one or two past lives that you go to very often, or a past life that the universe starts to show you over a matter of time, and it starts to become more like a storybook, and then it starts to turn into a movie. And it's very interesting because there's certain lives that I've been very active in that I'm able to go into. And over the years, it was like the universe or my soul released certain things to me, and it was mostly beautiful at first, I have to tell you that. And it was kind of like I didn't really see the darkness until probably about a year later. But then I kept going through the darkness, and a lot of people, I didn't know who they were. I knew certain people in this regression, but I didn't know who a lot of them were. But it seemed that when my soul was ready, my soul revealed to me who that person was in this lifetime. And it was a whole game changer for me because it really allowed me to understand why I went through what I went through with this person in this lifetime. And it allowed me to truly break free of whatever lower vibration I still had connected to this person because of what happened in this lifetime. So it can become a magical thing. And again, these are past lives, my friends. It's not a present life. So it might feel very scary or feel very fearful, like you might wake up fearful, but let it go because it's not in the prior lifetime. You don't want to feed it into this lifetime. You want to acknowledge it and understand why certain things are taking place in this lifetime.
Step back, be curious, observe is my best 3 words I think I can use.
It's almost like when a soul memory is revealed to you, it's almost like the universe is saying that you're ready for the next piece of the puzzle. And it might not be a soul memory of a past life, my friends. It could be wisdom or knowledge that just all of a sudden starts to come through you. And, you know, the next time you have a conversation with a soul brother and sister, you get into a conversation and all of a sudden all this information comes out of your mouth. And you're like, whoa, where'd that come from? That's a soul memory that's been released to you because you've been able to release the fear and doubt of who you are, and you've gotten to another frequency or a higher vibration that the soul memory can now release it to you so that you can embrace it.
I'm just intrigued. I think that needs to be one of your upcoming shows, Carrie, on past life regressions. I feel like it's, you know what it is? I try to explain it to people about, it's like a memory. It's like you can't necessarily remember your kindergarten days visually. You may not see the vision of it, but it's a memory that you know. And regressions are similar because, again, the clairvoyance for me is not as strong. So I quit looking for it and started recognizing it unfolds like a story. And it's just helpful in understanding. That's all it is to me, it's just giving you a little insight on how and explains it. so that, and then you don't have to give it energy. And your soul is guiding you the whole time. Again, so don't bring fear to that is, not something you need to do. It's definitely a soul-guided thing. They're not going to give you something you can't handle.
Yeah, it's coming in light and love, my friends. The soul is allowing this to come to soul memory so you can remember now for a reason. So again, don't embrace it with fear. Embrace it with love, knowing it's showing its little head for a reason. And the soul memories, again, when they start to come in, they will start to get deeper. And when it starts to I think the beauty about the soul memories is that you start to realize who certain people are in your life and what role they're playing, and how, people who are soully connected like yourself and other people, like I have past life memories of you guys, and I knew that instantly when I met you. It's like, whoa, my soul knows you.
And I think you said we were like Trojan warrior goddesses or something fabulous like that.
Back in the days with our laser lassos, right, my dear? Rounding up the family.
Paradise Island.
Yes. So, I don't want people to, I want people to embrace the boys knowing you can conquer them. And they're showing their weird little faces because, again, it's time for us to be able to shift to a higher frequency on this planet. And if you're a twin, my friends, you can't go into 5D with your beloved fully as one flame if either one of you are holding lower vibrations of fear. So this is why in the Vibe Report we've been talking about for months the importance of being, if you're a twin, that you need to work on yourself right now. Because when you're working on yourself, you're working with your twin, you're working with Gaia, you're working with everyone, because we're here to help shift the vibration. So we're the Hoovers. So the more clearer you are, the easier it is for you to transmute, because it doesn't affect you when it shows up. If you're transmuting dark for somebody, you're like, oh, this isn't my darkness, I'm just going to fill it with light. It won't affect you anymore. This is the beauty about this. We're working together as a family as well. And don't forget about that, my friends, especially those that belong to our soul family. We're always here with one another, and we're helping one another keep the frequencies into the vibration of love, so those that are dealing with the fear monster, they can easily shift out of it because the family's raising the vibrations out of there. So it's going to be easy for you to be able to say, hey, I recognize you, and now I love you. So when we get back, I will be doing the weekly message for the upcoming week. Stay tuned, and we'll be back after this commercial break.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Dr. Kevin here, and I want to invite you every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, to join me on the Dr. Kevin Show, where we have a diversity of guests who help you step outside the box, behind the curtain, and see what a load of crap is going on in the world today, so you have more information with which to make better decisions. We'll see you there. Namaste.
Hello, I'm John Lithgow. Manatees are unique, among the most amazing animals on Earth, but they're endangered. We pose the greatest threat to their survival. Many manatees are killed or injured by boats or other recreational activities. I'm a writer of children's books, including one about manatees, and I believe education is the key. You can be part of the solution. Please contact Save the Manatee Club right now. Call 1-800-432-JOIN. Thank you.
Welcome back to Vibe Nation Radio, where today my special guest Amy Fitzgerald and I are talking about conquering the ego. And this is the time in the show where I actually tap into spirit and ask spirit for the message for those that are listening in. And I have to say that those that are listening in, you've got really good vibrations going on. So give yourself a little toot-toot, because this is a beautiful message that I'm getting. It's like spirit is saying that you've decided that you're going to conquer the boys and that you're going to take control of your fears and embrace them. And they're saying that within the next 4 to 5, 7 days, before next week anyways, so many of you are going to be able to get into action to be able to take down the lower vibrations from the past that keep creeping up from you. And because you've shifted your vibrations by listening to the show about the ego, you're starting to see that this is actually a soul connection that you have with higher self, with God, and that the ego is part of you. So to be able to embrace this, this is about going within and letting go of things that need to let go of from the past, the things that you've been very miserly with, they're saying, things that you've been holding inside of you going, I'm not telling anybody anything. Open it up to the universe. Release this. Do the condo in my head exercise. And they're saying, watch how the stress of the ego starts to release through your soul and at a DNA cell level. So that's kind of beautiful, my friends. And this goes with the energy that, you know, we're all working with dark demons right now and releasing this stuff. But when we step into September, we're going into a completely different energy, my friends. I'm not going to talk about this in this show because I'm talking about that next week with Marla Kelly. She'll be on the show and we'll talk about the universal energies and what's taking place. But right now, we need to prepare ourselves to what's taking place. So I just want to say good work to all of you that are listening in today, and know that this channel is giving me the message for those that are listening in and those that listen in later on, that you have the ability to become friends and conquer the ego, and know that they're showing up to help you along the process of this sacred journey back to one. So that's kind of beautiful. Amy, are you picking up on something here, my dear?
Probably just to reiterate that, yeah, they're not our enemies. The boys are really, they're really trying to show us how we can be our very best self, very most healed, light-filled self. So it's really just, I like to take every opportunity and just squeeze every nugget of insight, wisdom, guidance, direction I can out of it. I've been accused of keeping stuff on formaldehyde because I gotta get every juice out of a situation. So, you know, any opportunity you get to face a fear, go for it. You know, it's in our world in a lot of different aspects. I think I even was, you know, the vaccination discussion is fear of death or fear of loss. We're all learning that, you know, it's not loss. It's actually you and your father, Carrie, have such a great close connection, which is amazing to be a part of. But that's just a fear that we do vaccinations, fear of financial, fear of your life, fear of, you know, all kinds in many different ways. But just knowing it's trying to free you. It's really trying to liberate you if you'll with them. Instead of, you know, turning away from it. So put them in the light. Give your fear to the light. So. Yes.
And I'm being asked to share just, and if you're very new to this, this is meant for you, because those that are on the journey for quite some time probably already aware of this. But if you're depressed a lot, you need to know that you live in the past. And if you have anxiety, it's because you live in the future too often. Because when you live in the future, you get scared. You need to know the reason why. And that's a control energy. And it's right now we're rewiring, and depending on how you're wired, you're also going to experience the ego trip a little different than somebody else. So again, it's really important what they're saying that, you know, if you're working with depression, you know, when you go into the past, find those golden nuggets and gems. You got 15 seconds before that negative vibration really becomes another vibration. It happens at 17 seconds, but I tell people cut it off at 15 so it doesn't become a vibration. And be grateful for those golden nuggets and gems. And if you have a lot of anxiety, do what I do. When I get the flip and the anxiety comes on, I turn on the music and I bust a move. And I shift it to living in the moment and just enjoying the moment for all that it is. Because this will really help you with the boys as well when they show up, and that way they don't get the best of you. You know, it's I see a lot of people recently that are holding fears just because of other people's perspective or something else that someone has said too. So remember, this is about taking your own soul power back, my friends. And what your soul is telling you is exactly what you need to follow. And, I mean, this is a big thing that I've always been about, that this is a journey of the soul. regardless of who you are. If you're a twin, you've got half a soul. You got to work with it. That's why it's a little bit more difficult. But you are one on an energetic level. So you need to be able to work with this and help your beloved when the flip takes place, because it's happening for a reason. And again, think about it. When you're high as a kite and you've got that energy, just think and be grateful for what they're doing, because chances are they've got your fears and now they're dealing with it. So, both of you are not going to be attacked with this darkness at once. If there's a lower vibration taking place between either one of you, it's kind of like Spirit's like, okay, this person kind of needs, this twin needs some help, and the energy flips because they know the other twin can help actually shift the vibrations, and then it gets flipped back. And then all of a sudden you might be in a good place knowing that chances are if you're in a flip and you're feeling really, really, really good, chances are your beloved is actually dealing with your fears. So again, this is about being grateful to your beloved, but working on yourself, knowing that at the end of the day you're helping both of you. And, there's just too many people that are still giving too much energy to their beloved. So guess what? You can't handle the boys as much because you're dealing with your boys and their boys, and you haven't gotten a grip on your own boys. Good luck trying to get a grip on your beloved, because your beloved's boys are your lowest stuff. Like when Mr. Gold shows up, believe me, I woke up one morning with Mr. I don't even want to mention. I just woke up. I was not me. I was like, oh, my gosh, what is this? But I've never dealt with that kind of gold fear monster before because it's not my energy. But I knew I could get out of it by feeding it with the orange, which is what I have a lot more energy of. So, again, my friends, just understand this is working with your beloved and working with the energies. And, again, it's energy. It's all I have. That's what Spirit keeps telling me, just to work and understand this is energy. And, Amy, you know this all too well because you're an energy you work
Alchemist,
with energy.
Yes. Yes, I've got a
Alchemist.
great video I would love to share, but if people could realize that there's this energetic world that we're connected to, that it's happening in the background and we're joining it. And it's really just kind of a beautiful thing. But when something I'm reminded to share is that when you do feel great and amazing and you've conquered something, then let that flow. Let that flow out to humanity. Just like, I want to share this. Because that is I always mention this collective consciousness bubble. Whatever bubble you're in, if you've, like a video game, if you've figured out how to get out of it, then share it with anybody you can, just energetically, just ask. I'm sharing this with whoever might be interested in receiving it, right? So if you're just feeling in love or you're feeling magnificent, I want to share that, flow this to humanity. Or, if you've overcome something, I want to figure this out so that I can. So it really isn't necessary just for yourself or your beloved. It's really for humanity. So everything you do, I think our beloved inspires us at some point. And, it just becomes, it just swells and becomes so much bigger.
Yeah. Well, that's the mission of the twin, right? The mission of the twin is here to help.
Bring it on.
Yeah. So where on Facebook can those that are listening in find you and your beautiful words of wisdom, my dear?
Right now I'm on, it's just Beloved is my Facebook page. I'm working on a website and setting up some other things. So it's all in the works. Should be a good month for bringing that forward. I'm manifesting it right now as we speak. So, but
they can
right
find
now,
you on Facebook.
They can. Yes, under Amy Fitzgerald or Beloved, Love Ed. So, but find me on Facebook and I'll direct you to the Beloved page if that helps.
Yeah, and I'll post
but anyway,
this as
thank
well,
you.
my friend.
Yes, I'll try to write something up for you so that you can share for me. And just thank you for having me on the show. If I can help anybody in any way, I'm just happy to do so. Absolutely, Amy. And what I'll do is I will post the information on the Embassy of Light wall on Facebook so you guys can find her as well, because I know a lot of people are already members of the Embassy of Light. And I also just want to let everybody know that right now I do have an eclipse special that I've been doing, and Spirit guided me to announce this last week. And I don't do 30-minute readings just because of the energy we're working with, but I was guided to do this. So until Wednesday, if you want to go to carrieturcott.com, click on the Eclipse Special,
you can now get a 30-minute reading for only $60 Canadian. And that is only available until Wednesday. I am not able to do readings immediately. There will be a 2 to 3 week wait. However, if you purchase it at that rate, you will still get that 30-minute special. So just know that I'm doing this to share the love as well, my friends, that it's so important. We work together as a soul family. I love Amy. That's why I asked her to come on. She understands how to conquer the ego. And together we're here to help humanity. And if I can help you in 30 minutes tap into who you truly are and not fear that you're fearing right now, it makes me feel honored and blessed, because I am helping people all over the world, the same as Amy and so many of our soul family members. So thank you so much for coming on, Amy.
Yes, and I will tell you, my pleasure, and I will say every time I connect with you, I just walk away feeling incredibly empowered and aligned, like you're aligned, your vibes. That's my favorite phrase, I think. But it's an important connection that I've made, and I'm so grateful for you, our treasure. So if anybody is feeling drawn to reaching out to Carrie, I will promise you will walk away feeling empowered and on top of your game. So with a to-do list of where to get started.
Thank you so much, Amy. That was so beautiful for you to say. You know I love you, darling.
I love you, sister. Yes.
You and all of our Amy's. We've got so many Amy's in the family. You got to love the Amy family. So next week, I'm going to be with Marla Kelly. She's also part of the Soul family. So have a wonderful week. And remember, my friend, you have the ability to create anything you desire. Just let go of the fear and know that it's in the frequency of love. Have a wonderful week. Thank you again, Amy. And I'll see you all on the next Five Nation Radio. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.